Well, you're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, Miami's American Legion Post builds a new museum to preserve military history. We'll have what visitors will experience.
Also, the surprise discovery of a mural hidden for decades in the walls of Camp Crowder.
And we have an alert day today, strong to severe thunderstorms this afternoon, and we have ongoing thunderstorms this morning. A look at all of that coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Chris Warner. It's just after 7 o'clock on this Tuesday, June the 3rd. And again, we have the alert day, but that's for thunderstorms this afternoon. Right. We do have some thunderstorms this morning. They're not severe at this point. They're not expected to be. And we'll go over all that with you in just a moment. But first, some patriotism down in Miami.
Certainly. The American Legion Post in Miami, Oklahoma is turning pain into education with a new museum expansion.
As KOAM's Lonnie Walden reports, Legion members hope their new museum project will educate young people.
None got cut, none was damaged, so we're thankful there.
Curtis Nida is the commander of American Legion Post 147 in Miami. He was broken when he found damaged flags he and his members set out in September. He believes this sort of vandalism will be less common of young people if they had greater understanding of the sacrifices our military members had over the generations. That's why he's excited for the expansion of a brand new museum he hopes to educate the next generation.
When these kids come in and they're going, ooh, oh, you know, we didn't know this or we didn't know that. And just to see them light up and the questions they ask is amazing.
Chris Mays is the museum coordinator. He, along with Nida, is trying to get to those youngsters.
I want to actually show them footage of something, say, like Pearl Harbor, because right now they're not being really informed on what some of this stuff that has happened in the past is.
Mays says this facility is going to cover 3,000 square feet and include history spanning from the Revolutionary War all the way to Afghanistan, and it's going to cover all area tribes.
Which will include a big segment of the code talkers that were from the area. We're going to have a large screen TV here.
Nida wants to send one message to the world.
I know it's an old saying, freedom's not free. We paid for it.
Reporting in Miami, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Now the museum is scheduled for completion in late July.
And of course, very important to teach kids this because you think about it, even just September 11th has now been, 24 years ago at this point. There's a whole generation of kids who have no idea, what it was like then.
Absolutely.
So very important to remember and important for you to play it safe outside today. We have thunderstorms this morning, not severe, but there's been plenty of lightning with these storms. And we have our severe threat later this afternoon. Start with that look outside downtown Pittsburgh. Looking a little bit on the spooky side, a little bit on the dark side. We've had showers, thunderstorms out there, and we do have more on the way. MoDOT camera 20th and range line, same thing, dark skies and rainfall occurring. So here's the Skywatch storm trackers. We have one more thunderstorm now, northern Cherokee County and Crawford County. And by one more, I mean this is the last on the tail end of all of this. So that's why it's looking a little dark and spooky in Pittsburgh, getting ready to let loose one more time out there. So it's over Weir right now, and so it actually places it just northwest of the station here. Heading up north on 69, we'll get into Bourbon County. Some heavier rain, showers, thunderstorms stretching back into Vernon County around Nevada, and some lighter showers now in Lamar, but still some moderate rainfall in northern Barton County. This is where our main thunderstorm activity has been, back toward Allen, Anderson, Coffee counties out there, even stretching now into the eastern portions of Woodson County. Showers, thunderstorms, again, nothing strong, nothing severe, but a fair amount of heavy rain. This activity stretching all the way back up toward Burlington and back toward Emporia. Now, all of this will eventually move on out. In fact, that's what it's doing. That's why I wanted to emphasize to you this is at this point the last little thunderstorm we have on this giant kind of almost arrow-shaped line of storms pushing off to the north and to the east. Once it clears out by about 8, 9 o'clock, we're going to have a momentary pause in thunderstorms before we head into the afternoon and we start to see the reason we have our alert day. We have an isolated tornado risk across the region, but we have a level 2 out of 5 risk for hail and damaging wind gusts. Hail into southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma, and the wind for everybody because because we're expecting a line of showers and thunderstorms along a cold front. Future Track's running a little slow on this, I think, so let's change this time up here to 2 o'clock. We're going to have these thunderstorms out there, and they're going to intensify pretty quickly, and they should form into this line pretty quickly as well. But you can also see, if you watch that little box here, there's a Boeing feature showing up on Future Track. Now, it's not saying it's going to be right there, and there's no guarantee for sure that it will happen, but Future Track has been hinting at this all morning. If we do get a Boeing segment anywhere along this line, that could increase the damaging wind risk, where we see 70, 80 mile an hour winds with some of these storms. On top of that, a lot of heavy rain this morning, more heavy rain later today, so we have a flood watch for virtually every county in our area until tomorrow morning, so a lot to monitor there. 69 in Joplin right now, 68 over in Pittsburgh, where it hasn't been raining. Still got some low 70s, and we're starting to see temperatures warm where the rain has stopped, but where the rain has been, we've fallen back into the upper 60s. Despite the clouds and the rain, still warm today, low to mid 80s, south winds gusting to 30 outside of thunderstorm chances. And again, by about noon, those chances begin to ramp up and increase in coverage as we head through the afternoon and evening. And again, that strong to severe thunderstorm threat is there. We're going to break down those threats, talk about what we're looking at out of these storms, and talk about the additional severe threats we have this week here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. We'll see you soon. Authorities released the name of a man shot in an officer-involved shooting over the weekend. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation identified the man as 25-year-old Michael Cook. Police say Cook fired into the Mia Bella Italian restaurant from outside, trying to force his way in. Officers arrived quickly and confronted Cook, who opened fire and then ran. Gunfire broke out again near an Arby's. Cook was shot, taken into custody, and flown to a Tulsa hospital in critical condition. The OSBI says Cook is still hospitalized in Tulsa, receiving treatment. No officers were hurt. One person inside the restaurant had minor injuries from flying glass. Official charges will be determined by the Ottawa County District Attorney's Office. No word on Cook's motive. Well, Sunday evening at about 6 p.m., a crash occurred north of Joplin at Missouri Highway 43 and Baseline Boulevard. Two vehicles traveling at highway speeds collided as one failed to stop at a stop sign, according to the Missouri State Highway Patrol. 4 people from Moundville, Missouri were in a white van that was struck. All 4 were transported to Freeman West in Joplin. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, you can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Well, efforts are underway to save a piece of local military history. KOAM's Samantha Walker has more on how one organization is working to preserve the decades-old artwork.
Camp Crowder in Neosho, Missouri has a long military history surrounding World War II. According to the Army Historical Foundation, the first soldiers began to arrive less than 1 week before the Pearl Harbor attack. Camp Crowder was known for training soldiers before many were sent to serve overseas. Some of that history still exists.
The Army auctioned off the buildings as surplus that were at the base, and one of those buildings was sold to a family located outside of Neosho, and inside that building was a mural.
For 80 years, this mural has held on in a building used for agricultural work. According to the Arts Council, this sort of art isn't new to Camp Crowder.
In fact, we have multiple photographs of other murals that were painted at Camp Crowder, but did not survive the closing of the camp.
The Neosho Arts Council believes the mural was designed and painted by an unknown soldier who was training at the site before they were deployed. The organization says portions of the mural remain just a sketch, as the artist was likely called to action before they finished.
He had started painting in sections, but something made him stop and have to abandon this work mid-progress. And we want to make sure that our preservation treatment keeps those pencil marks on the panels as well as the paint.
Now an effort by the Neosho Arts Council is underway to raise funds so that lost mural that spent decades here at Camp Crowder can be preserved for years to come. The first step was to carefully remove the mural from the building with the help of expertly trained volunteers. Now they're hoping to raise $25,000 to continue preserving the work.
We will never find a World War II era mural like this again connected to our community. And we must preserve it, and we need the community support to do that.
The Neosho Arts Council is now asking for community support for the project. Donations would help cover repairs to the mural, paint restoration, and preservation treatment.
Our goal, of course, is to bring this mural back to Neosho for public display so that it can help tell the story of soldier artists, as well as to tell the history of Camp Crowder in Neosho.
Reporting in Neosho, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
The Neosho Arts Council says any donation will help their efforts with this project. And those are our top news stories this half hour. Coming up next, Jasmine Kyle shares how you can utilize educational resources provided by the SEK Humane Society. The SEK Humane Society, is of course known as a shelter for animals without a home, but did you know there are more resources that they offer? We have Jasmine Kyle from the SEK Humane Society with us this morning to share how you can utilize a free educational class that they offer. Good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning. So
introduce me to this little
guy. So this is Laddie. He is one of our feline teachers from the SEK Humane Society, and he's one of my personal cats. So I've had Laddie now for 12 years. He is one of our seniors that goes out and does free educational tours for the community. Now, when we do what a free educational tour is, so for USD 250 here in Pittsburgh, Frontenac, Girard, Fort Scott, we have a teacher that reaches out to us and is like, hey, our kids would love to learn more about behavioral classes for dogs. My kids have questions about cats and so on. So what we will do is we'll come out free of charge, and we offer free educational materials, and if allowed, we bring an animal. So, and now for the most part, we do bring dogs most of the time, but there is two rare occasions. One is a kid maybe having some fear of dogs, so Laddie is a great stand-in for that, or a child that has an allergy to dogs. So now if we were to bring a shelter cat, it's a different experience for them compared to a dog that's been with a lot of people, been with a lot of kids, but you put a cat into a new environment that hasn't been trained for that, they're really going to be scared for most of the time. So Laddie's been trained and has been on over 24 educational tours in his 12 years of service. And he is a people person. So Laddie's treat, even though he loves food, as you can see, his treat is being with people, whether that's a group of 10 kids or a group of 100. That's where he can go in and really just enjoy himself, and so the kids can touch him and they can learn about cat behaviorals and health, and we get to share our own stories. Laddie was our first pet when we adopted him, and we get to share that with the kids for when they adopt their own. One of the things that we personally didn't know is how smart these animals could be 12 years ago. Laddie got to be so big because, one, he has the metabolism of a rock, unfortunately, but two, this cat knows how to open doors. He opens baby latches, he opens metal gates. I mean, and it took him 48 hours. We had to set up baby cameras, and he watched my husband. Yeah, I'm telling on you this morning. And he would kick the door closed behind him so we would never know. And he's not into people food. It is his own cat food, but he's a very sweet guy. He's one of our small dog testers out at the Humane Society because he truly believes that he is a dog. So, and he also knows tricks. He knows how to sit. He knows how to high five. He knows how to shake. But he's a great feline teacher for the kiddos. But if you are in about 30 miles of our shelter and you would like for us to come out and talk to your students, please give us a call.
Wonderful.
Send us a message. We do this for free and would love to share the information. The youth is our future. So
absolutely wonderful resources there. Well, Jasmine, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Of course, happy to have you as always. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It's 7:18 now on this Tuesday morning, and of course we've got some thunderstorms out there producing some heavy rainfall and a fair amount of lightning as well, but nothing strong or severe in our area at this time, which is some good news. But you can see now just progressively exiting Burlington, but Garnett, Mound City, Iola, you're still in it. Mound City, you'll be up next. Fort Scott, it's just starting to push through you. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, you are just having this heavier thunderstorm storm exits your area as well. And this will be lifting into Liberal eventually, and it will make its way into southern Vernon County. If it holds its course, it should just hit the southeast sides of Nevada, which has been dealing with some moderate rainfall all morning long as it is. But this is the last of these showers and storms as they begin to exit the area. You can see how they kind of recycled on themselves, but are beginning to leave. And as they do so, we'll have a momentary break in shower and thunderstorm activity before we see new thunderstorm development heading into this afternoon, which does bring that severe threat with it. That's why we have an alert day today. So we have an isolated tornado risk, a level 2 out of 5 for hail into Kansas and Oklahoma, and a level 2 out of 5 for the wind for everybody. I'm going to break down these threats for you and what we're looking at and why we have all these hazards here. The tornado risk. One of two things here that we're looking at is the possibility. One, we could get some storms ahead of the cold front, and if we do, they could intensify just a bit to bring an isolated tornado threat. But the primary concern with any storms ahead of the main line or that eventually develop into the line that we're expecting is going to be for the hail concern. Then we get the line of storms, and that's what all of this is going to congeal into, and it should happen pretty quickly. But with that line, we could get those QLCS or those spin-up tornadoes that form within a line of storms. They're usually not too bad. They're very weak, and we're not looking at like a major risk for any of that, but that's why this risk is here. And then for the wind, that's going to be the bigger concern. With any line of storms, traditionally wind is the greatest concern, and 60, 70 mile an hour wind gusts are absolutely possible as we head into the afternoon. Now, something else I want to stress as well, I do believe the future track's running about an hour and a half behind on storm development, but it gives us the idea that, again, before this turns into that big line, we could get some isolated storms ahead of that before it all joins in. So where this says 2, think of this more maybe 12:31, where we're going to see this line of storms. So Yates Center just outside Fredonia, Chanute, stretching back to the southeast, we get this line of storms. They could be strong to severe. In fact, they're expected to be strong to severe. Now, another feature that we've got to watch closely, Future Track has been picking up on, is that. You see how quickly that race between 5 and 8, just 3 hours, race from Coffeyville to the Joplin area, this Boeing feature. It's not a guarantee it'll be right there. It's not a guarantee it'll happen, but it does keep picking up on this. And if we get a Boeing feature anywhere along this line, that amplifies the wind risk, bringing us possibly 70 or 80 mile an hour straight line winds with some of these storms. So a lot to keep an eye on as we head into the afternoon and late evening hours. Now, once we get past about 10, 11 o'clock, we have some scattered storms on the backside, but the severe threat drops significantly. And then we'll just be dealing with isolated to scattered storms, mainly along and south of I-44 as we go through the day on Wednesday. Severe weather at this point not expected with that activity, but that tune changes as we go into Thursday and Friday. And really, this 2 out of 5 risk for Thursday is really going to be after midnight, in all honesty, running into very early Friday morning, where we could get additional strong to severe thunderstorms out there. All right, quick look again. Cloudy, rain's starting to wrap up in some locations. Storms should be done in our area 8, 9 at the latest. Mid 70s by 8, low 80s by 11 o'clock this morning. I'm going to skip past that because we'll talk about the highs and lows in a minute. I want to talk about Thursday into Friday. So Thursday, again, scattered shower storms, not looking anything too intense. It's going to be late Thursday. Thunderstorms begin to develop to our west. And like I said, after about midnight, they'll start pushing into our area and bring that strong to severe thunderstorm threat with them. And then we could see additional strong to severe thunderstorms on the southern half of our area as we go into Friday afternoon and evening. So that's why for Friday, we have this risk area highlighted. I could include additional strong to severe thunderstorms by Friday afternoon. For Saturday, the risk area shifts to our south, but we're still pretty close. So some strong to low grade severe storms may be possible in our southern counties as we roll into Saturday as well. So a very active week ahead of us. Still warm today, low to mid 80s out there. Cooler tomorrow, low 70s, but then we heat right back up, upper 70s, low 80s into the weekend. And by next week, we dry out and really start to heat up, upper 80s near 90 next week. That's Check Your Forecast. We're back with more right after this.
Welcome back. This morning we have Charlene Patton from the Kansas Soybean Commission joining us this morning to teach us a tasty dessert recipe, a winning recipe.
It is.
Good morning, Charlene.
Good morning.
Yes, so today we're making silky soy creme brulee. Now this last year won second place in the dessert category for heart healthy recipes, and this was by Christy Hart from Sterling, Kansas. So thank you so much, Christy, for this wonderful recipe. Charlene, how do we make it?
Okay, such a quick, easy recipe to make, and we've got it on display over here. We have just a few more weeks of spring, so we have another light dessert. And I might add real quick that they can go to our website to look for the rules and directions for entering the contest this fall.
Fantastic.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is put in 2 cups of soy milk. You can use plain or the sweetened. This is vanilla soy milk.
Wonderful.
You're going to add cornstarch to that, and that's going to help thicken it. And then I'm going to add in our granulated sugar. Add that in there. And then she has vanilla bean paste, and that makes it rich in flavor there.
Is this hard to find in grocery stores?
It isn't. Look by the vanilla section in the grocery store and you'll find it.
Wonderful.
So now we're just going to mix this up. Really, it's kind of an easy step to mix it there. We would pour that into a saucepan then, and then cook it over medium heat for about 5 to 10 minutes till it starts to bubble and gets thickened. And then what you have is this wonderful creamy filling, and we're going to put that into a serving dish. And if you've made creme brulee before, you know that you bake it in the oven and put it in a hot water bath. So this is really a simplified version of this. Now I have just a little bit of granulated sugar that I'm going to put on the top of that. And then she suggests putting that underneath the broiler for just a few minutes to make that all crusty, just like a creme brulee. It makes 4 servings here, and you can see that we have them on display.
Super easy version of a creme brulee, also very heart healthy. Charlene, if people want to find this recipe or any other recipe from the Kansas Soybean Commission, where can they do so?
They should go to kansassoybeans.org, call our 800 number, 877-KS-SOYBEAN. They'll get all the recipes for June, and then look under the sidebar and you will see a link to the State Fair guide for entering, and you can start practicing your recipes to enter this fall.
Absolutely. Well, Charlene, as always, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Happy to have you. Stick around. We'll be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:31. I'm Elise Noe. Well, deer in Joplin could soon be in the crosshairs, quite literally. The Joplin City Council considers allowing regulated bow hunting with city limits to help curb the growing number of deer vehicle collisions. Now, the city does not currently have measures in place to control the urban deer population. The new ordinance would permit archery hunting on private properties of at least 1 acre, with hunters required to be 16 or older, register with the city, and allow strict safety rules. Also, the hunter would have the right of retrieval in case a wounded deer runs onto a neighbor's property. Now, last night, the minimum required 5 council member approved the first reading. The bow hunting ordinance now moves to 2nd and 3rd readings. The Mercy Foundation's Stick It to Cancer fundraising banquet brought in a record amount of donations Saturday night, close to $97,000 to benefit Joplin's Mercy Cancer Center. Our very own Dow Quick there, as you can see, was honored to MC the event for the 3rd consecutive year. The money will be used to purchase equipment to battle lung cancer. The Stick It to Cancer event included an auction, recognition of cancer patients and healthcare workers, food donated and prepared by a number of area restaurants, and entertainment. Our congratulations and thanks to everyone who made the event such a success. Let's head over now to Chris for a quick look at the forecast.
Continuing to see scattered showers and thunderstorms. Starting with a look outside downtown Pittsburgh, still a bit on the soggy side this morning as rain continues to fall, but eventually coming to an end. Still some wet roadways in Joplin, but things, at least for the time being, drying out. Here's what we've got right now is this complex of thunderstorms. Nothing strong or severe, but still bringing some torrential rainfall. It's in an arrow shape now, stretching back toward Eureka and this new cell outside of our immediate area near Bloomington, Kansas. This stretches inches up. Curves around Burlington, comes back to the southeast around Ozark, south of Garnett, toward Fort Scott, and now down just outside of Sheldon, north of Liberal. All of this eventually going to roll into Nevada as well. What we're going to watch is for our next round of thunderstorms to develop, which, in all honesty, looking at some of the latest runs and data, that may come a little earlier. As we see right along this line here, we're starting to see additional thunderstorm development. Nothing expected at this point, but still, we want to watch it closely because we do have our alert day today, and that is why. We have an isolated tornado risk. We have a level 2 out of 5 hail risk, and I walked to the wrong side, but a level 2 out of 5 wind risk out there. So some large hail possible, primarily at this point into Kansas and Oklahoma. Damaging wind gusts a concern as we're expecting a line of storms by this afternoon to start pushing through the area. So this may actually be as early as 2. I know Future Track says 4. I think it's a little behind, but these thunderstorms will congeal into a line and then could produce this Boeing segment keeps showing up on Future Track runs starting around Coffeyville and racing to the east. Now, if that happens in that zone, we could see winds 70, 80 miles an hour, otherwise 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. Once we get past about 10, 11 o'clock, these storms will lose their energy and we'll just have some scattered storms lingering overnight before they become a little more confined heading into our Wednesday. Flood watches for everybody except Berry and Benton County until tomorrow morning. So again, just be aware, watch out for those flood warnings, any flood alerts, just pay attention and remember, turn around, don't drown. Sitting at 69 in Joplin, 68 in Pittsburgh. Temperatures, you see, we've got that south breeze already starting to warm up in some locations where the rain has stopped, back in the low 70s. We got a mix of those upper 60s and low 70s, and despite the clouds and rain, we're going to warm low mid 80s, and again, by noon, thunderstorm chances increasing. Some of these strong to severe. That's why we have that alert day in place. And of course, we'll continue to monitor the storms rolling through now and any other development that might take place as we go through the morning. Of course, anything pops up, we will certainly pop in. We'll have another full look at your forecast breakdown, today's chances and our severe chances later this week here in just a few more minutes.
All right, Chris, thanks. And don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get those severe weather updates straight to your phone free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. The KOAM Skywatch weather app. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. A group of grandpas come together to impart their wisdom to the next generation. In Consumer Watch, trade tensions are continuing to rise between the U.S. and China, and now it might be time for the two sides to sit down and talk tariffs again. Fox News correspondent Molly Henneberg has more from Washington.
With trade tensions still running high, the White House says a call between President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping will, quote, likely happen this week. Both countries are accusing each other of breaking a tariff truce signed back in May, in which they agreed to reduce taxes on goods. Now, President Trump says, quote, so much for being Mr. Nice Guy. Here's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick on what happened with the May agreement.
Secretary Bessent and Ambassador Greer went to Geneva. They made a deal with the Chinese. And really, the right way to say it is they're just slow rolling the deal.
China's Commerce Ministry responding that the U.S. is, quote, unilaterally provoking new economic and trade frictions, in part by restricting AI chip exports and stopping some chip design software sales, as well as plans to revoke Chinese student visas. Meanwhile, Democrats in Washington say lawmakers should step in.
Congress could vote to repeal all of these absurd tariffs, but instead, again, we have so many Republican members of Congress who are too afraid of angering Donald Trump.
Secretary Lutnick says President Trump will work this out, quote, for the benefit of the American worker. Meanwhile, China is promising, quote, resolute and forceful measures if the two countries can't get the tariff truce back on track. In Washington, Molly Henneberg, Fox News.
And those are our top consumer stories. Let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:43 now on this Tuesday morning. And so here's what we've got. Skywatch Storm Tracker still dealing with thunderstorms across the area, pushing off to the north and east progressively. So what we've got is this line here. We've got a warm front that's lifting through. That's what's triggering these storms ahead of it. And then we've got additional storm development expected later today. However, as we take a look, say like right around Yates Center or just south of Iola, take a look at these little storms that took all of 5 to 10 minutes to flare up. That's the environment we have in place for thunderstorm development as we head into the afternoon, which is why we have an alert day today. So we have the backside of this arrow shape here stretching back toward Bloomington, Kansas, so just outside of our area, but around Eureka, comes back up, curves around through Burlington, over toward Garnett, and then stretches back to the south and to the east, back toward Nevada and near Sheldon as well as it continues to lift northeast. But we now have a newer thunderstorm developing right over Yates Center, this one near Humboldt, right between Iola and Moran. And you see that little pink there. We're going to take just a quick look. I do not believe that there's anything in terms of hail out there, but we will certainly take a quick glance. I'll give it a second to update. Okay, so it is a little behind on here, but we are getting some small hail now with this storm near Humboldt, about 0.3 of an inch in size hail. So small hail, but just again, the indication that we've got a fairly unstable air mass. The other thing we're watching is these storms out to our west. This is going to be part of what will ultimately give us some problems later. So around Enid and then stretching over toward Woodward and Tologa in Oklahoma. See how quickly those storms manage to develop as well. Now this rain that we're getting now should wrap up by about 8, 9 o'clock. Then we'll have a momentary pause before our alert day threat comes in. This is where we've got the isolated tornado risk across the area. We also have a level 2 out of 5 risk for hail and wind. Now the outlook for today just updated minutes ago and did not change anything in our area, which is good news. It just means what we've been talking about still on track. The bad news is it didn't reduce any of the threats, but again, the good news is it didn't increase them either. So any storms that develop initially before that line forms ahead of the cold front could produce some large hail in parts of Kansas and Oklahoma. All of us are going to be dealing with that wind risk out there. And then, of course, with the line of storms, those QLCS or those spin-up tornadoes are going to be a possibility. That's why we have that isolated risk. It's also why it's over virtually the entire area, because those could be possible anywhere in the line, but that risk is relatively low. So here's what we're looking at. As I've mentioned, future tracks may be about an hour and a half slow, but we could get some isolated storms ahead of, or what will eventually become, the line of storms that we're expecting by this afternoon. So take this and move it to about maybe 1 o'clock, okay? We're looking at thunderstorms, Chanute, Fredonia, just to your northwest. So Yates Center, Eureka, stretching back down toward Elk County and Chautauqua counties as well. We'll have these thunderstorms out there. They will turn into this line, and as we roll through the evening, it will push off to the east and bring severe thunderstorm chances with it. Now, another thing that's been showing up on the future track that just is a little concerning, something we've got to monitor. Watch right around Coffeyville. You'll see that bow line, and it takes off 6, 7 o'clock. Within an hour or two, races off to the east. And if this Boeing section does happen to form, that's where it could intensify the wind risk, where we're talking about maybe 70 to 80 mile an hour winds. And that's not a guarantee it'll happen, but it is showing up. It is a possibility, so it's something we want to watch. Now, after about 10, 11 o'clock, we have lingering thunderstorms out there overnight, but nothing strong, nothing severe expected. And through the day on Wednesday, same situation along and south of I-44, some isolated storms, no severe weather expected with that activity. Then, I know this says Thursday, but really in our area, this is going to be after midnight. We're rolling into very early Friday morning, very likely through the time we're on the air here with the KOAM Morning News, another severe threat that's going to be out there as well. All right, quick look, starting our day, storms wrapping up in the next hour or two, mid-70s to start, and we're warming up quickly again, low 80s out there by 11 o'clock. Then I want to talk about what happens Friday. So again, Thursday, some isolated, widely scattered showers and storms. Not much expected there, but by late Thursday, Thunderstorms out to our west will start to push into our area after midnight. Some of those could be strong to severe. We could get additional strong to severe thunderstorms Friday afternoon, which is what this risk area is for. And while this moves to our south on Saturday, it's just close enough. Some strong low-grade severe thunderstorms will be possible in parts of our area Saturday at this point as well. So a lot to keep an eye on. Cooler tomorrow, low 70s, back to normal, upper 70s, low 80s into the weekend, pushing near 90 as we dry out next week. Let's check your forecast. We're back with more right after this.
Well, a record number of baby boomers are now entering retirement, and while some men might think of more time to golf or fish, a group called Grandpas United has a different idea.
Bradley Blackburn shows us it's a way to give back and boost their mental health.
Good to see you. It's recess at Church Street Elementary, where instead of hitting the playground, these students have chosen to hang out with the older kids. A lot older. How old do you think he is?
56.
I'll take it. The guys in blue, with a little gray, are Grandpas United.
Or 65.
Wait a minute, don't push it. I was happy at 56.
A grassroots group of retirees who have no biological connection to these kids.
I like to play Jenga with them.
But they've formed a real bond.
Some of them are funny, some of them are good, like talkers and stuff.
If I can bring a smile to them and they bring a smile to me, we've had a good day.
The idea took shape several years ago when founding Grandpa Jim Eisenberg noticed something missing.
I see nothing for grandpas anywhere. Grandmas, God love them, grandparents, but grandpas zip. Why don't we think about doing a grandpa program?
More than 100 men have since signed on as volunteers, sharing fun and a little wisdom.
Shaking your hand with a firm grip, no dead fish, eye contact.
Grandpa Wrangler Ellen Barth says for some kids it's a rare chance to bond with the grandfather figure. And studies have shown this kind of activity can boost mental health for men and help combat loneliness as they age.
They really light up when they see the kids. There's no doubt about it.
Irvin Caesar is a retired truck driver who grew up nearby.
Who gets more out of this, the kids or the grandpas?
Well, I don't know how much they get, but I know I get a lot. I really enjoy being and meeting the grandpas. They're a bunch of really nice guys.
A simple idea that delivers so much when grandpas are united together.
Well, Grandpas United also hosts mentoring sessions with young fathers and other social outings. They hope to open chapters in other parts of the country eventually as well.
Certainly very important to still include the grandpas as well.
Super sweet program.
Indeed. And I got a super amount of rain. That's the best we got. We got some very heavy rainfall still out there. Skywatch Storm Tracker showing showers, thunderstorms, Nevada, back up through our northern counties, circling back around to the south and west. So all of this activity should be moving out before too much longer. The problem that we're looking at here is if we back this up even just a little bit, you can see like north of Chanute, around Yates Center, and then back off to our south and west and back into Greenwood County. We're getting additional shower and thunderstorm development already, and we have an alert day for the strong to severe thunderstorm chances this afternoon, but we will have to monitor some of this extra development out there just to be on the safe side. But as we get into the afternoon, we have all hazards possible with greater concerns for large hail, especially into Kansas and Oklahoma, and then for those damaging wind gusts. Now with the hail, it's more so if we get any thunderstorms that develop by themselves initially, they could produce the large hail, but then they'll build into this line of storms that will bring, again, the isolated tornado risk, maybe a spin-up tornado or two, but it'll bring damaging wind gusts that could be 60, 70, possibly 80 miles an hour as we head through the afternoon and evening, so a lot to keep an eye on. We'll have one more look at your forecast, news you need to know right after this.
And here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Authorities released the name of a man shot in an officer-involved shooting over the weekend. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation identified the man as 25-year-old Michael Cook. Cook was shot near an Arby's before being taken into custody and flown to a Tulsa hospital in critical condition. No word on the suspect's motive. Well, Sunday evening at about 6 p.m., a crash occurred north of Joplin at Missouri Highway 43 and Baseline Boulevard. Two vehicles traveling at highway speeds collided as one failed to stop at a stop sign, according to the Missouri State Highway Patrol. 4 people in a van that was struck were transported to Freeman West. And deer in Joplin could soon be in the crosshairs, quite literally. The Joplin City Council is considering allowing regulated bow hunting within city limits to help curb the growing number of deer vehicle collisions. Now, the city does not currently have measures in place, and the bow hunting ordinance now moves to second and third readings. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And showers, thunderstorms continuing to push to the northeast, slowly exiting our area, but more storms are expected later today. We have an alert day today with all hazards possible, with greater concerns over large hail and damaging wind gusts. So a lot to keep an eye on. Of course, we'll keep you updated here on KOAM and Fox 14 and KOAM Plus. Low to mid 80s today. It's still going to get warm. Cooler tomorrow. Some isolated storms, more scattered storms Thursday. Severe weather possible again Friday morning, Friday afternoon, and possibly Saturday afternoon as well. So a very busy week ahead
Certainly
of us.
so.
Well, thank you all so much for letting us put the good into your morning. Again, we'll continue tracking storms and pop in as needed. Otherwise, we'll be back at noon.
Have a great rest of your morning.